There, Joey Votto into the bay. A splashdown for his first homer of the year. McCovey Cove beat Joey Votto 3-0 Reds.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Late Night Reds Talk, where Nick and I have a very special guest. We're so excited. I have been reading Cespedes BBQ for a long time, so you can check them out on the Ringer podcast and Baseball Barbecue. They are now also available on MLB on Fox. Joining us is Mr. Jordan Shusterman. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, man. I'm so stoked you're here.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to talk some Cincinnati Reds, a team that I got to be honest, I'm feeling pretty good about. I know they had a bad day today, but I'm feeling pretty good about them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so kind of for your first question, because Nick and I, we've been doing this probably about our fifth or sixth episode now. And we, obviously we talk about the Reds every week. We text about the Reds daily. We tweet about the Reds. So, we were always kind of looking at the national perspective from this team was always like, we kind of felt was like, almost like people just weren't paying attention next then, because they're like, well, they had a brutal offense last year, and it's like, yeah, 60 games, and Trevor Bauer's gone, so there's no way the rotations can be very good. And we just kept hearing all these things. So, for the national perspective, why do you feel like people were kind of counting them out? It almost felt like from day one.
That's a good place to start. I mean, I think just going back to last year, it was such a wacky season, and the offense being that bad was kind of stunning, because when you look at the names in the lineup, you're not like, wow, this offense stinks. But they did. But one of the most incredible stats from the offseason, this came from Mike Petriello, a good friend over at MLB.com, that their BABIP last year was like the second worst in baseball history or something completely absurd, which kind of gave you 245, which was 20 points lower than 29th place Texas. That is just, then that has a lot to do with it. And the thing is, and this is a big part of when we talk about the 2020 season, is we refer to it as a season, but it's not a season. It was 60 games, right? Of course it counted, and it was real baseball, and we all watched and we all cared. But to refer to it as a season performance is not fair. That's just not how these games worked. And, at the end of May, if we look around baseball this season and say all right, here we go. This is, let's just call it, folks. This is what it is. It would be absurd, right? It would be totally ridiculous. So I think when we reflect on what it was last year, and I think that how bad they looked in those two games against Atlanta too, especially offensively, it just kind of made everyone doubt that this team would be remotely for real, even in what is obviously a very blah division. And of course, losing Bauer too, just the general attention is very much off them. But I think that what you've seen so far this season with the performances of guys like Castellanos and, even to some degree, Moustakas has certainly looked better, and Suarez has looked better, and Barnhart, we'll talk about Naquin, I'm sure. I've always been a big Jesse Winker guy, so that one doesn't surprise me. But I think you see that it's no, they actually do have some good hitters, and the pitching staff, especially the bullpen, which I know maybe has scuffled a little bit more than we've expected at the beginning. Clearly the pitching development with the Reds is very, very, very strong. And I think that will continue to be a strength, even if you haven't necessarily heard of the guys that are doing it.
You mentioned the BABIP and how tough that was, and obviously that is excruciating when, for guys like Nick and I who are watching the Reds every night, we kind of see this and we go, no, guys, we swear they're making contact. It's just right at people. And the prime example of that this year has been Joey Votto. Obviously, I don't know if you're familiar with the Reds fan base, but Joey Votto is the dividing line of it's like a civil war if you're pro or anti. Yeah. And Nick and I are both very pro. And what we've seen so far from this year, Fangraphs had an article today saying it's too early to panic about him. And I loved it because they brought up the point of his exit velocity this year is great. And you're seeing if you watch Reds games, he's struck out 6 or 7 times, I think, in about 38 plate appearances. But he's getting solid contact. It's just so happens to be right at people. Do you feel like this could be – I mean, we're not expecting him to go be 330,
sure,
437 on base percentage again. That would be awesome. But I kind of keep bringing up the point of like, for us in Cincinnati, Ken Griffey Jr.'s 37-year-old season, he was an all-star. He had a slow start, and he just kind of like, ended up having a pretty good year. I don't think Votto's going to be an all-star by any means. Could you kind of see him having a pretty solid year with what you're seeing at the bat so far this year?
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, obviously, I think most neutral fans love Joey Votto, and understanding how divisive he is within Cincinnati is kind of shocking to me when you look back at his career, and I understand what it's rooted in, and it's like, oh, more walks than RBIs. How good could he be? But realistically, I think that he's the kind of guy who obviously takes hitting so seriously and is going to work to perfect his craft. And sometimes the luck of the BABIP is not always going to reward you. And that's unfortunate for a guy like him, who you want to see the hard work and the adjustments pay off immediately. But even the last, I think he homered today or homered yesterday, and you've already started to see it. Even last year, where the line looks somewhat underwhelming, he was clearly getting to his power a lot more than the year before. And so yeah, I'm optimistic. And the thing about this team is that, like, when he was at his best, and it was like, all right, Joey Votto's going to carry us. And I think a lot of the reason why people were so mad about him drawing walks is that there wasn't anyone else to drive him in. Whereas now, like, there are other guys in the lineup that can do that if he can still get on base. Obviously, keep the strikeouts down, keep drawing walks. So it's a fascinating thing to watch, just like his development as a hitter at this stage of his career. But yeah, I think he could be right around what he was last year over a full season, which is honestly pretty good. Even if it doesn't look like the MVP candidate that he was for 6-7 years in a row originally.
Yeah, Jordan, I think it's just as perplexing to us that there's Reds fans that don't appreciate Joey Votto. So we don't understand that either. We don't have any good rhyme or reason. I know I've seen some of your takes other places, but I love just your quick take on like kind of the Castellanos situation with the Cardinals.
Oh yeah. So my general opinion on that whole thing was what him getting suspended was just a nature of literally the weirdness of the play itself. If he had done what he did, which is say, I don't know, can we curse on this thing? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see players saying "let go" all the time, all over the field. That's not, people aren't getting suspended for that. It's just by the nature of the weird play, he happened to be standing right over him where he looked extremely aggressive and like in his face. But it's not like he ran over to the dugout or ran up to Woodford standing on the mound and was like, let's not go. It's just the nature of where he was, right? So yeah, it looked aggressive. And if they did change the rules about taunting, like, I can see why they would, make that. But it sucks because, like, that's just the kind of thing that MLB is usually trying to promote more of. And so then to punish him for that is absurd. My favorite part of the whole thing was, like, his quote about Yadi Molina after. And you could tell, too, in the moment. It was funny because in the moment, I remember watching it live. I don't know where I was, but I, like, got home and turned the game on. And within 5 seconds, this is what happened. So it was like, I was very disoriented. So because I had, like, missed the hit by pitch. So I was, like, very confused as to why stuff was popping off just from this play. But you could see, even in the minutes after, Molina talking to Castellanos, and it was hilarious. And it was like, you could tell Castellanos was like, I'm not going to get mad at Yadi, like, come on, like, let's be realistic here. You could tell Yadi was like, look, man, Jake Woodford stinks. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't, I'm sorry. Like, he's out there because we're losing, and he's not, like, that's the whole point. Like, sorry, And I know it looked like it was more intentional. Like, maybe it wasn't intentional, maybe it wasn't. I don't really care about that. I don't find it interesting to litigate that stuff. But yeah, those generally the baseball fights like that are always very silly. So it is what it is. But it is ridiculous that he got suspended. I guess you guys would know better. He's still appealing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there still has not been a resolution. It feels to me this is a very long wait. I can't remember a suspension being appealed, going more than a week.
Especially one like this, which isn't that shouldn't seem to be that complicated, but I don't know. Sometimes they do take a while. So
it's not like we're mid-season where there's suspensions left and right, and they're they have all these things going on. I tweeted out earlier today. I really hope they don't decide to cut it to one game and then do it on Friday, because that's the Reds' first time all year facing a left-handed pitcher, and Castellanos is one of the best hitters in baseball against left-handed pitchers. So that would be
they haven't faced a lefty.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, how many games are we into this season? 12 games and all right-handed pitchers. So that would be brutal. That would be like legitimately him being suspended 3 games, in my opinion, just because he's so valuable against left-handed pitching.
Right.
I guess one other question for you, Jordan. Who's maybe your one under the radar player on the Reds that you kind of are interested in or following or just paying close attention to?
So, again, I'm not talking about Tyler Naquin until you're going to make me. But
Naquin.
So I'm not going with Naquin, but there are two. There are 2 guys that I would say, most interested in for this season in terms of. I'll give you one hitter and one pitcher. The hitter, who is the one that I was hoping would be having the Naquin breakout, is Nick Senzel. And Nick Senzel, I know, has not really had the best start to the season. He has not been really contributing to the offense thus far. I have just always been a big fan, always a big believer in him. I know he's had all kinds of kind of bizarre injuries leading into the season. He had that, I think it was vertigo at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was before his debut or during his rookie season, and then he had all kinds of other injuries. Maybe I'm he was the 2nd overall pick. It's not like this is a hot take, but I just feel like people have written him off, and I just believe in him, and I want to see him get a chance. And I honestly don't, to the extent, this is my limit of how much I have been watching the Reds this year, which is that, like, I don't totally know how the playing time is shaking out. I can't believe Aquino is back and playing, but that is obviously delightful. And then Naquin, of course, is getting at-bats, and I know Winker's been great. So I don't know where the at-bats are going to be for him. And I guess Akiyama still has to play at some point. But it's weird. Like, I want to see him be the guy to be one of the because if you look at the roster and you know, like, okay, you've got your veterans in Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, Castellanos. Like, that is, like, you should be expecting above average, production from that group. And then you've got your young guy, your kind of mid-tier guy like Jesse Winker, who I wouldn't call him established, but, like, he's been in the league. You're feeling good about him. Barnhart kind of in that category. But, like, Senzel's the one that you would hope to be taking that step forward to kind of build around. Because, of course, if he's a top 5 pick, that's what you're expecting. And I don't know. I would love to get your guys' take, because I haven't just watched him that closely. How much confidence do you guys have in him? Because that's the kind of guy that I know as a Mariners fan, like, I've watched Kyle Lewis so closely because I know he just won Rookie of the Year and it was great. But, like, everything that it's someone that it was that high of a pick does, takes such attention. Like, I focus on it so much. So I would love to hear what you guys think of Senzel, how much confidence you have in him, maybe just based on the beginning of the season or how the organization talks about him.
Well, last week we kind of talked about it because, we're coming off, they were 5-1 last week. And I think the thing that's really jumped out to me the most as far as his growth, and, like you said, he's the 2nd overall pick. Mm-hmm. He's so good in the box as far as, like, being patient. He's working counts, and it's really impressive, honestly, because you can see, like, how he's seeing pitches. And I feel like he has been a tendency of bad luck. So he started the year 0-for-7. And then, of course, you play the Pirates, you get a 3-hit game. Everyone's getting 3-hit games against the Pirates. Right. But the fact that, like, he just works the count really well. And that's where I really see, like, that confidence. And I'm with you. I'm not at the point where, like, I'm not ever going to doubt Nick Senzel until he gives a full reason to. Like, this isn't a case of, We sat through Brandon Larson as a 1st-round pick, who was just awful. I don't think we're worried that much by any means.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Senzel, he's 0 for his last. Math is hard to lie. 0 for his last 11. 3 games ago, he had a 1,020 OPS. And he's dropped to 684 in 3 games.
Right,
So,
we're talking such a small sample.
Yeah,
Of course.
But I think probably most Reds fans would tell you they're encouraged with what we've seen from Senzel so far this year. He looks a lot more comfortable. at the plate than he looked last year. And last year, I mean, this guy's had the worst luck. We believe they never officially announced that he missed a month because of COVID last year.
Right.
I mean, just the worst possible luck. But yeah, I think he looked really comfortable in the box. And I guess what you're saying about the outfield logjam, I'm one that's not worried about that. Those things figure themselves out. The Reds have a ton of guys that have had a lot of injury issues. Winker, Naquin, Senzel, Akiyama's hurt right now. David Bell is a really, really good manager in terms of finding a way to get everyone playing time. He is the double switch king. So even like Senzel didn't start today, but he came in, I think, in the sixth inning and got an at bat. That'll happen a lot. So Bell will use all those outfielders, and yeah, I'm not worried about that. Aquino, that's the weird one. He's just on the Reds roster right now because he has no options.
Okay.
If he's not on the roster, they lose him.
Right.
And the Reds don't have he's their best right-handed bat off the bench unless Senzel's not starting. So I mean, there is kind of a role for him. I expect he'll probably start Friday night when the Reds finally face their first left-handed pitcher of the year.
Right. True.
But yeah, I mean, he's just kind of on there. I don't know what their plan is with him. Maybe they're hoping, he'll get hot, maybe have some trade value, or just kind of say, hey, we're going to keep him on the roster as long as we can because someone's going to get hurt at some point, and then hey, we'll have a spot to play him and just kind of as to keep themselves with some depth.
Can I just quickly, and then I'll get to the pitchers that I wanted to mention. Just on Aquino quickly, like he truly had the potential. Like if they really didn't believe in him and they were just like, screw it, no options, DFA, trade, whatever, like release, like I don't know, outright, I don't know, which would not be the craziest thing after how bad he looked last year. He really had the potential to have one of the craziest, like, okay, and then say hypothetically he just like then didn't, obviously he would get signed, but he just like never really made it back. Potential for one of the greatest baseball reference pages of all time. Like if you were looking back, if in like 15 years you came across Aristides Aquino and you were like, what? I'm trying to understand, like, what happened here? Like he hit 19 home runs in 56 games and then just disappeared. Like what? That was just one of the most fun,
Are you trying to say an 848 career OPS is good? I mean, that's what he has right now. Like it's insane.
It's really bounced. It's hard to say. Anyway, so the fact that he's done anything the start of this year has been delightful because obviously I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and first he does have 2 home runs this year, so he's
I know.
actually,
I was going to say same as last year already. So,
and those are 2 home runs coming when he's lucky to get an at bat every other night. So
exactly.
Yeah, so far so good. He's filling his role.
I love Aquino. I'm obviously rooting for him. It's just after last year, I was like, oh man, he might just be gone. He might just be. We might never see him again. Okay, but then in terms of the pitchers, I mean, there's 2. They're both new to the team this year, and they were also both former first-round picks. One of them is Jeff Hoffman, and the other is Carson Fulmer. Do you guys have any strong feelings about either of them or the other? Because I'll just say both of these guys were top 10 picks. Both of these guys reached the big leagues pretty quickly and then were very disappointing. Hoffman because he was on the Rockies, and the Rockies are the Rockies. And Carson Fulmer because he could just not throw strikes at all, and his stuff was terrible, and his command was even worse, and he just never really figured it out. But from what I've seen from both of them so far this year, man, I mean, I mentioned the Reds pitching dev, which I totally trust. I mean, if they could turn those guys into anything, even if Hoffman moves to the bullpen eventually, like that's awesome. That's really, really, really cool. And that's the kind of bet that you like to see teams like the Reds making instead of, because they're obviously not going to be spending money. So you got to be kind of nailing those trades as best you can.
Yeah,
I love that you brought up.
We got Hoffman for Robert Stevenson, so not that I don't love Bob Steve by any means, but yeah, it feels like it could be an upgrade for sure.
Right, that's true.
I love that you brought up Carson Fulmer. We haven't brought him up yet at all.
No, we haven't.
A national guy comes in and brings him on. That's fantastic. The
Yeah,
cool thing
well,
about Fulmer is no one in the Reds bullpen has been able to throw strikes except for Carson Fulmer. Like,
which
like
is
he's
crazy.
the one who,
Yeah.
and Cam Bedrosian, who's had like 5 straight years of an above average walk rate, can't throw a strike at all. Walked 2 guys last night. So yeah, that's the one thing the Reds have really been good at with Derek Johnson, has been picking up guys that are kind of on their last leg in their MLB career and turning them into serviceable players. I mean, I know Sonny Gray wasn't on his last leg, but
Sure.
Legitimately, Sonny Gray is probably a top 15, 20 pitcher in baseball, and he was a guy the Reds got for not a whole lot. So I know you're big on Shed Long, I'm sure.
I know.
So I don't want to trash.
No, that was obviously a great trade, so I can't be hating on that.
But yeah, we like Jeff Hoffman. I mean, I think Jeff's looked really good in his 2 starts so far for the Reds. He's just a great depth guy to have when you have a couple guys down. So yeah, I think those are great picks for sure.
I would also just say quick 2 selfish stories, because part of it is oftentimes, because I've been fortunate to be doing this as long as I have, and we've been able to talk to a lot of players and meet a lot of guys, and so I often gravitate to the guys who I have personal experience with in the past. And Hoffman and Fulmer are both very up there. I'm not that I've been in touch with them at all, but they were featured in 2 of probably 2 of the funniest things that we've ever made. One was when Jeff Hoffman was at the Futures game in 2016, I believe. We were doing like the Futures game check-in for MLB.com, where all the guys get there and they go to the hotel and they get their jersey and their meal money and whatever. And so we set up shop there at the hotel and interview them. And Jeff Hoffman was awesome, and we talked to him, and for some reason we had this mini basketball hoop, like one that you would like hang up on your door. And we had we would ask the players to dunk on Jake. So I would hold the basketball hoop over Jake's head and then toss the ball up, and then the prospects would come and dunk on Jake. And the problem is, I wish I could send you the video. It was a Vine. Remember Vine?
Oh, wow.
so I was like, oh, that video is dead. Like, that video doesn't even exist anymore. But there is video somewhere. I think Jake maybe has it in his computer of Jeff Hoffman dunking all over him, which is funny. And then Carson Fulmer, this video you can watch, and I highly recommend it. We actually did this twice with Carson Fulmer. When we went on one of our minor league road trips, we saw him when he was in Birmingham, Double-A with the White Sox. We played fungo golf with him. I don't know how familiar you guys are with fungo golf, but it's basically golf, except you're hitting the ball with the fungo. And we played it at Double-A Stadium, and then we did it in big league spring training with him and James Shields in 2018, I think. So if you search Carson Fulmer fungo golf, you can watch us play fungo golf with Carson Fulmer twice.
Nice.
Once in Birmingham and once in Glendale, Arizona. So both great dudes, and I am happy to see them succeeding with the Cincinnati Reds.
That's fantastic.
So, Jordan, I got to ask about 3 guys in particular, because I know we're limited on time. And I just want to get your thoughts as a Nash perspective. And yes, one of them is Tyler Naquin. I'm going to open this door for you. So first one, obviously, Jonathan India. We've seen just this amazing run, and obviously the fact he was the 5th pick in the draft is really showing how good he can be. And then Tyler Stevenson, who we've seen really kind of become this platoon with Tucker Barnhart. Nick and I are very much in the idea of we want to see Stevenson get more at bats. We just feel like he brings more to the plate. Had a really nice throw out today in the Giants game of runner stealing second. And then, of course, Naquin, who Nick actually had this tweet came up that popped up that he sent to me in 2017 about if we trade Jay Bruce, can we get Tyler Naquin from the Indians? And sure enough, now he's playing for the Indians. So with those 3 guys, with those 3 guys, I think India obviously right now is for 12 games in. Obviously, it's kind of starting to plant his name in there as a potential Roy candidate. Obviously, 12 games is not ever going to give a guy rookie of the year unless you play in the NBA. But what do you take from those 3 guys and what they're contributing to the Reds offense so far?
So let's start with India. I've been really impressed, and he's the kind of guy that, really kind of fell off the radar relatively in the last 2 seasons as far as top 5 picks go, just because he was fine. He wasn't anything special. Like, yeah, he was kind of doing his thing and reaching Double-A in 19, but he wasn't putting up crazy numbers. And I think coming off that junior year in Florida, where he was like one of the best players in college baseball, maybe obviously one of the best players in college baseball, there was a lot of hype. And so when he came out of the gate kind of average, it was like, oh, maybe he's just fine, because that's kind of what people thought he was in his first 2 years at Florida. So clearly he made an impression over the last year and in spring training to where he made the team. And to be honest, I've never been a huge fan. Not that I thought he was bad, but I was with the group of people that was like, okay, yeah, he's fine. Like, he'll be a big leaguer. He'll contribute. He'll, bat seventh and play good defense at one of the infield spots and whatever. Like, I was not like excited, but yeah, I mean, he's clearly shown me a lot already to the kind of thing where you can't be that shocked, because it's hard to put up a season the way that he did. One of the best SEC seasons in the last decade, truly, what he did in 2018. There's clearly a very special talent within there. So is he going to hit 350 all year? Probably not. I mean, he did it in Florida. He did, but am I expecting that? No, of course not. But if he could be like more of a well above average offensive contributor, like I'm looking right now, he's at 122 OPS plus. If he's at that instead of a 105, that's a huge deal. And that's the kind of thing where really, and obviously an element to the offense that did not exist last year for obvious reasons. As for Stevenson, totally with you guys. I know Barnhart is great defensively, and he's been solid offensively and has had moments of being good offensively. It's tough because we know Stevenson is the catcher of the future, and I think he can stick back there. I also want to see him get everyday at bats. But it's one of those things, man. Like, I've learned. There was a time when I naively thought, like, oh, like, screw your catcher leadership, game calling, whatever. Like, just give me the guy that can rake that's 23, right? Like, this is what I always thought about Francisco Mejia. It's like, ultimately, those guys just aren't going to play because you just need someone that can control the game. And it just sucks, especially for a team that's trying to win, right? If you're a worse team, you can just say, screw it, let's just get our 23-year-old back there and hopefully he hits, and then we have this valuable player. But Barnhart's going to play, man. Like, he's going to play. I hope it gets to be more even so that Stevenson can still get 200, 300 at-bats this year at least. But it's tough. But I'm a huge believer. I think he's a super underrated prospect in general, and I think just having both of those guys is a great platoon situation. And honestly, which brings us to our third and perhaps final topic this evening, Mr. Tyler Naquin. I'm so glad you mentioned that they haven't faced a left-hander yet, because that explains a lot. I had no idea, but I was like, wait, why is Tyler Naquin even playing? But there you go. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I've been, like I tweeted, like, it's so inexplicable. I mean, yeah, so he has this great rookie season. I mean, this is also a first rounder, but he is the kind of first rounder that I was just not excited about at any point. And I know he had the good rookie season, but he's so rarely showed me anything over the last few years that made me excited about him as anything more than a platoon bat who can, like, play decent outfield. If he didn't have that walk-off inside the park home run, like, would anyone know who Tyler Naquin was like before the season, honestly, like, even for a first round pick? So I've just never been a fan, but obviously he's taking advantage of his time so far. But like, it's the kind of thing that, like, I hope that they don't try and play him against lefties just because he's hit 5 homers in 9 games, because know your strengths and just take advantage of what he's doing well against. That would be my hope, but we'll see, man. I mean, again, you've already banked those 5 homers. Like, he's already been worth the investment, which was a minor league deal in February. Like, he's clearly been worth it already.
Yeah, if he gets 20 plate appearances against a left-handed pitcher, something's gone horribly wrong. David Bell is very, very platoon. Yeah. Happy. Yeah, he's not going to see many lefties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess you did get to give us about 30 minutes. We definitely appreciate it. I do have to ask you about this, since now you're part of the Ringer family. Mm-hmm. Are you hearing a lot from Bill Simmons now the Red Sox are on this crazy win streak?
Good question. I can honestly tell you no. However, I can also honestly tell you that we should probably get him on the podcast if we keep winning, just so that we can hear his Garrett Whitlock takes, which I'm sure he has plenty of. Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox right now, they were so unwashable last year because of the pitching that any amount of competence on the pitching staff this year was going to make them a decent team. And I still don't really believe in the pitching staff, but if JD Martinez is back, Rafael Devers is one of my favorite players. Yeah, they could be fine. But hey, this is a Reds podcast, not a Red Sox podcast. But there you go. There's some bonus Red Sox content for you. If Bill would like to come on, he is obviously welcome. What are we going to tell him? No, he can't be on the podcast. That's not happening. So, so yes, maybe if they keep the win streak going through next week's episode, we might have to put something in place.
Perfect. Well, Nick, do you have anything before we close out?
No. Well, Jordan, do you want to give a chance to tell us what you're working on? Shout out anything you got coming up.
Sure. Yeah. So, we announced on opening day that we joined Fox Sports. We're going to be doing a lot of written content for them, maybe some video stuff later this season. So that's really exciting because we didn't really have a place to write over the last couple of years. So very excited to start doing some stuff over there. But yes, Baseball Barbecue on the Ringer Podcast Network. We are once a week on Tuesdays. Make sure you're following on Spotify. We're on the Ringer Baseball feed combined with the Ringer MLB show. But yeah, just follow us. Cespedes BBQ on Twitter is where you can find all of our stuff. I actually just made my own Twitter, mostly for my Mariners tweets, at J_Shusterman_. So if you want some shed long love, even though he is obviously very hurt and not playing, but if you want some, delirious Ty France tweets, be sure to follow me over there. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on. So, but thank you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so thanks so much.
Should I sell my Kyle Lewis rookie cards? I got like 30 right now.
Oh, if you want to do rookie card chat, let's take that off the air. Let's take that off the air. Right?
Sounds great.
We'll talk PSA 9. What the difference is if we want to talk about that, we can.
Sounds good. Well, Jordan, this is awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk some Reds baseball with us. Take care of Taylor Trammell for us. We're keeping an eye on him. So, but yeah, hopefully we can do this soon, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much, and good luck. Good luck to the Redlegs the rest of the way. I'll be thinking about you guys as they continue on this season.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right, guys. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Reach out. I'll do this again later this season if you guys want. All right.
Love to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Have a good night. Have a good night, guys.
All right, so now that the national guy's off, we can talk about how bad the last week has been. We don't want any national guys to get a bad perception of our Reds, right?
Yes. All right, so yes, I've been dying since last night. I stayed up, I watched the game, and obviously, you see Votto homer, and I'm all excited, and Luis Castillo has another bad first inning. It almost I know it's only 3 starts. But do you remember 2011 Edinson Volquez where if he got through the first inning?
No.
I'm kidding.
Don't put that out there, Tim. Come on.
I'm kidding. But okay, you have a better baseball brain than me, and I say that with total confidence. It's not a bad thing. So am I wrong here in thinking why did Amir Garrett only pitch 1 inning in this road trip?
Yeah, well, I mean, Amir hasn't looked sharp, so I mean, there is that. I know I kind of tweeted something out on Monday night. I wonder if with Sims and Garrett, I wonder if they are being very cautious with them because they know their bullpen's thin. I wonder if they're going to kind of be cautious with them early in the year and only pitch them late in games with leads when they know their appearance is very valuable and that it would contribute to a win. It's not a wasted appearance. I do wonder about that. I don't know. I don't know if any of the games that the Reds lost, Garrett coming in would have made a difference. So I guess in that sense, it kind of is what it is. Today's loss just kind of, it's one of those things that happens. Can't get anything going against a starting pitcher.
Cueto was great.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple of bad defensive plays. Just was a game you never really felt like you were in after the fifth inning. Yesterday's the one that stings, the game where you have the 4-0 lead, where you have your ace on the mound. You should, those are the wins you should convert. I'm not worried about Castillo. He's had 3 starts. One of them was really good. One of them was terrible. One of them was average. I don't even think yesterday was that bad. The second home run he gave to Brandon Crawford, there was a 2-1 pitch that was a clear strike, like not on the corner, like it was a clear strike. It was called a ball, made it a 3-1 count. The next pitch, Brandon Crawford puts one in the seats. So, if that pitch is called correctly, that might probably doesn't happen. Probably doesn't hit a home run, because he was sitting on a fat pitch. So yeah, I'm not at all, worried about Castillo. I mean, there's things to be worried about. I'm definitely growing more and more concerned about the defense. I know no one wants to hear that Eugenio Suarez can't play shortstop, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. I know he's made some nice plays, but your shortstop should make some nice plays. Like, that's expected.
Right.
That's supposed to be your best defensive position. And again, as I've said all along, no disrespect at all to Suarez. Him volunteering to play shortstop to help the Reds is admirable and should be nothing but praise. There should be no criticism directed at him. It should be directed at the Reds for not having a legit shortstop. And I don't even know. I don't even know if his bad defense with the current roster isn't still the best option, but it's not the kind of I don't see it being the winning formula. His bad defense still might be better than Kyle Farmer playing every day, but that shouldn't. I feel like we should strive a little higher than that, So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll take some big steps, but I'm growing more and more concerned there. And I think that's something the Reds are going to have to address at some point. And I hope Bob would, pony up a little bit and, spend a little bit and get a legit shortstop and, figure out how to play everyone and get playing time.
Yeah, we could do a whole show just on last night's game and how maddening it was. And I feel like a lot of it was offensively, I'm not too pissed off at him. Things happened, obviously. But I think, you score 6 runs, you should feel pretty confident when you have Luis Castillo on the mound, you score 6 runs, obviously. But also, like you said, the defense. And today, we all knew Jonathan India was going to make rookie mistakes, and he had the one today. He should have caught that ball. It happens. But it's part of being a rookie. So yeah, man. I think these 2 games in San Francisco are just brutal, and for some reason, I just always hate playing them. I don't know if it's just a 2012 thing with me still, but it feels like every time they play the Giants, something freaky happens, and I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Reds are 7-5. Every single one of us would have taken 7-5 through 12 games. Anyone who says otherwise is completely full of it. They're lying. So, but that also doesn't mean that, a 2-4 road trip against 2 teams that are projected to be below average teams is good either. I mean, this was a chance for the Reds, to stack up some wins against some poor competition, give themselves some more wiggle room. So if they go out to Los Angeles and get swept by the Dodgers, it's not the sky is falling thing. It's okay, well, bad series, but hey, we got off to a great start, so we've kind of banked that up. So now they're I feel like 8-4 and 7-5 just feels so different.
They do,
but
they
8-4 would have felt so much better than 7-5. But
for sure.
The Reds are still tied for first. It's still a good start. The offense is still good. They were the top in baseball in runs scored coming into today. They probably got past today, but don't take 2 games and go, oh my gosh, the offense is terrible. It happens. It happens to the best teams. They go through stretches. You could go and find the 2010 Reds, who were one of probably the best offenses we've seen from a Reds team in the last, I don't know, however long. I mean, they had stretches where they got shut out back-to-back games. It happens. Hopefully, have an off day tomorrow. Hopefully they can find a way to take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland this weekend and kind of get back on track. But Sonny Gray coming back Saturday.
Love it.
Seventh best ERA in baseball since he's joined the Reds in 2019. I mean, that's legitimately how good of a pitcher he is. So, yeah, it's going to be okay, but there's still some things that are definitely concerning. And we'll just kind of, have to see how they play out, and hopefully the Reds will address some of them.
Yeah, I mean, so not to kind of put a positive spin on it, like you said, the Reds are fine. I'm pretty impressed with how good Moustakas has been at third for not playing it for a while. He's made some really nice plays, and he's been really good in the box. But yeah, man, I think that when you talk about I don't know where I'm at with the bullpen. Obviously, this whole Michael Lorenzen being out for 60 more days thing, going to the 68-day IL kind of frightens me. But I feel like at the same point, this is why you build that depth, right? And it's where do they go from here? I saw Jose De Leon went to the pen. I don't know. It's just, I know I'm running through 37 thoughts right now, but it just was such a tough game today. Cueto was excellent, like I said, and seeing him leave early was in San Francisco was a PTSD moment almost. But yeah, man, it was just like you said, the only team who's really looking more consistent than the Reds, and I know they had a bad game in Arizona Sunday, it's been Milwaukee. St. Louis, they one game, they won 14-1. Today they lose 6-0. And, everyone was like, well, you beat up on the Pirates, and the Cubs got their ass kicked by the Pirates. So, yeah, they're still in a good spot. I mean, the Pirates beat the Padres last night. So,
Pirates are up 2-1 on the Padres right now in the 8th. So
against Musgrove?
Yeah, against Musgrove, they're up 2-1. They're batting. They are 3 outs away from winning back-to-back games against the Padres. So, yeah, I mean, sweeping the Pirates, as bad as the Pirates is, it's not easy. If the Dodgers played a 3-game series against the Pirates at home, the line would probably be they would win 2.1 games. They would not be expected to sweep them. The Pirates would be expected to win one of the games. So, I mean, taking care of business is winning 2 out of 3. Sweeping them is having a really, really great series. So I don't know why people don't understand it. The Pirates are going to win 60 games this year. Those wins come against someone. They're not against minor league teams. They beat other major league teams. So,
yeah, those guys, they have major league contracts. They are major league players. Yeah, I'm with you. I did want to run this by you today because I saw it. You know how it goes. You lose 2 games in a row, everyone's in panic mode. So on, I think it was Blog Red Machine, I saw something pop up on my Facebook. I used to write for them years ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, years ago. Today there was a huge article. Someone wrote an article about transactions the Reds need to make now, and I'm like, oh, 12 games in, and we need to make transactions. And it was one was trade Aristides Aquino, and I'm like, okay, so who's your right-handed bat off the bench? And the other one was designate Jose De Leon for assignment now, and I'm like, oh God, you guys use all of your transactions in fantasy baseball, don't you?
Well, Jose De Leon has options, so he can go to the alternate site. You do not have to just DFA him for the heck of it. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. People, they're going to panic. It's the nature of sports, but yeah, I mean, when you get the 5-1 start, it gives you cushion. The Reds have used a little bit of that cushion up. Now they need to, strap in and play some good baseball for the next 150 games.
Yeah, I feel like they could be okay. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit time left.
Yeah, let's talk about what's coming up. Like you said, so these next 20 games are there's some good competition there. Cleveland, you have 2 series against. You have your rematch with the Diamondbacks, who you lost 2 of 3 against. You obviously go to St. Louis and LA on a road trip, and you come home for the Cubs and the White Sox. So like these next 20 games before you have the Pittsburghs, the Rockies, the Giants at home in May, um, you don't lose your season on this by any means. But like you said, like taking care of business, like if they win 11 of these games, like they go 11-9 this 20-game stretch against Cleveland, Arizona, St. Louis, and the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the White Sox, I feel pretty good. Like I feel pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, the next stretch into mid-May, just, if you play close to 500 ball, I know that doesn't sound sexy. People don't love that. They'll be fine. They get to May 10th. They have 3 against Pittsburgh, 4 against the Rockies, 4 more against the Giants, who I was pretty impressed with the Giants, but the Giants aren't a juggernaut. So, I mean, if they do get, beat up a little bit, they lose 3 or 4, 4 or 5. Just remember, they are gonna to come back to a nice cushion in mid-May, where they should have a lot of very very winnable games. But when you have a rotation with Castillo, Gray, and Malley, I mean that's going to stop a lot of losing streaks.
Yes.
One of those guys are just going to pitch so well. It doesn't really matter what your offense does as long as they can give you a couple runs and you'll find a way to get a win. That's kind of what the Brewers are doing, because the Brewers' offenses has I think they look pretty good today. I'm trying to remember, but I don't think the Brewers' offense has looked very good. But they've just gotten good start after good start after good start, which has kind of been able to carry them. When the Reds get their rotation settled in, at some point, and I'm sure we'll have to spend some time here talking about TJ Antone. He's such a hot topic right now. But at some point in the season, when the Reds do get, hopefully Castillo, Gray, Malley, Antone, and Miley or whoever else is the 5th starter, I mean, man, that's gonna give you a chance to put some good win streaks together and prevent you from long losing streaks. Just because you're gonna have so many good guys. But yeah, I guess unless you have anything more to add to that, let's jump into TJ Antone. What's your thoughts? I'll let you go first.
Okay, so here's where I'm at with him. Like, obviously, he's been awesome, man. And like seeing him the other night on Monday night, he comes in the pen, throws 3 2/3 after Miley's terrific, and he follows that up. Like, that was so cool. And the fact that he was honest, I kind of dug that, honestly. The fact that he was like, yeah, when David pulled me, I was exhausted. I don't know if I could have got that last out. Paraphrasing, of course. But just like kind of like having like that like self-awareness was cool, man. And his stuff's on, man, like he was doing that. I think it was like a changeup like that he was throwing for a while there in the game that you could just see the Giants batters look lost on. So I will go with this. I feel like this is a good situation. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Is it a situation where, like we've talked about, since we've been doing the show, like, could you see TJ Antone kind of becoming like a spot starter? Sure. Could you see him in the rotation this year? Sure. But for the moment, I think he's doing exactly what the Reds need him to do. And I'm cool with it. I think he's pitched very well. And I think right now he's kind of earned the right to kind of do what he needs to do for the team. And, if it comes to a situation where, we run into like a Johnny Cueto 2012 again, we need someone to go and take the ball and beat Sam LeCure. I feel pretty good with having TJ Antone do that.
Yeah. The guy only has 4 major league career starts, so I think you have to kind of start there.
Right.
He's had Tommy John surgery. I know it was several years ago, but he also got hurt this year. So I fully support the Reds easing him in. And, when we're talking about pitcher injuries and, how you're going to navigate through pitchers that have had some injury struggles and pitchers who haven't, thrown more than 150 innings at any point in a year in their career. And they're coming off a 30-inning season last year during the pandemic season. I feel like a lot of us sitting at home, keyboard warriors don't really understand that. And it's kind of silly, I think, to think that we do, I'm going to kind of trust the guys who have, pitched in the major leagues or know, the full science behind that and all that goes into that with whatever their pitching plan is. Now, I do think TJ Antone, as long as he still keeps, getting outs, I do think the Reds do need to at some point look at him as a starter.
Yes.
I would hope this year at some point, but I think easing him in, gives you a chance of maybe not having to shut him down later in the season. Because, say he would have started, the third game of the year, I don't know if Anton can get through a full season where the Reds would feel comfortable with him, throwing 160, 170, 180 innings. And he might not get shut down in August. You don't want that, If you were wanting to be a, legitimate playoff team, you want TJ Antone to pitch the whole year. So if him pitching, 2 or 3 innings, every 5, 6, 7 days is the way to preserve him enough to be able to contribute all year. I mean, I think that's a worthwhile reason to go that route. And what he did on Monday, that absolutely helped the Reds win that game. If they didn't have TJ Antone come in relief, maybe they still win that game. But he certainly helped a lot. So yeah, I don't have a problem with the way they're using him right now. If he's still dominating and we're into June and the Reds are having 2 or 3 starters that are not performing well and they're still not going to give him a chance, yeah, then maybe we can look and go, yeah, I don't understand that. But right now I don't have an issue with what they're doing with him.
No, I don't either. I mean, it's 6 2/3 ending so far. He has a WHIP of .60. I mean, that's
not too shabby.
Yeah, no one's gonna be mad about that. Yeah, I'm really excited about what we've seen from him. I really have a lot of confidence in him and what we've seen so far. Like you said, we're talking about a guy who's thrown 35 innings, so it's like kind of like the nice shiny toy, and you want to make sure it's ready to go and has its batteries before we go this crazy. But yeah, I think you need those guys to win. I think, like you said, like if keeps going at this, throw them in there and get some starts and make things happen. I think we had Carlos on a couple weeks ago. He kind of talked about the idea of TJ Antone being the guy that goes to the rotation and putting Michael Lorenzen back in the pen. And that's truly not a bad situation for the Reds there. We've seen him be successful in the pen, being Lorenzen. I know last year before he moved to the starting, he kind of had a little up and down season. But, like we said, last year was a weird-ass year, like we've talked about many a times. But I still am really confident in both those guys. And I still think that they both bring a lot to the table for this Reds team to be successful.
Yeah, the news today of Lorenzen not going to be back till probably early June at the earliest. I mean, that definitely takes a massive hit on the Reds' depth. It probably, unless when Lorenzen comes back, the Reds' situation is dire with starting pitching. Probably, to me, signifies they'll probably just throw him in the bullpen. Just because at that point, not pitching, it's going to take him longer to build up to be ready to start games. I feel for Lorenzen because he's been a guy that has done nothing but whatever the Reds have asked. Done multiple roles. Always been a great team guy. Class act. All those kind of things, and he's finally going to get a chance to start and just. Just the injury bug just killed him this spring. So I definitely feel for him. I hope he can come back and contribute, at worst, at least in the bullpen. But we'll have to see.
Yeah. So I did kind of want to get your thoughts on something real quick. I mentioned Wade Miley earlier. Obviously, he's been terrific in his 2 starts. He's had 2 5-inning plus games where he's had giving up no runs. So I looked real quick to kind of compare. We knew he kind of had a rough year last year with injuries and he didn't pitch very well. So last year he threw 14 1/3 innings. This year he's throwing 11. Last year he had 12 strikeouts. This year he has 9. His WHIP last year was a 1.67. This year it's a 0.55. Do you feel like this is progress, or do you feel like it's the teams he pitched against?
I don't think it really has too much to do with who he pitched against. I think Wade Miley is a decent pitcher. He's not going to put up an ERA of 0.0 all year. I feel like that's probably a little too bold. But I think he can get close to his career ERA is 4.21. His ZiPS projection was 4.71. I think he probably maybe will split the difference this year. Maybe be a best case scenario low 4 ERA guy. that's everything the Reds could ask for. He was the 5th starter. I mean, he's obviously better than that now because De Leon's getting the boot and he's still there, so he was ahead of him. It just, I guess, the way it worked out, how they wanted to start them. But yeah, I like Wade Miley. I think he's a nice guy to have, at the back end of your rotation. And hope he can stay healthy because he's been another guy that has had some injury concerns. Had just a terrible time last year, staying on the field. But yeah, I mean, when he's at his best, he can give you some quality innings. And David Bell, I feel like uses him really, really well. He does not let him get it. He does not let him get exposed. I know people were livid that they took him out of the game after 5 innings. But you brought in Antone and that worked out, beautifully. But yeah, he's a guy who really, the third time through the order, his numbers against get really, really bad. So yeah, I mean, Wade Miley comes out, gives you, 5 innings, 4 innings some nights, that's good enough. And then we'll just have, hopefully the bullpen can settle in. Hopefully they can find enough guys that can throw strikes. And, I guess the thing to caution is, the Reds bullpen last year was terrible the first 2 weeks. And then they settled in and, man, they were good. And
yes, they were.
If you kind of look name by name, this bullpen is at least comparable to last year's. I mean, I know you don't have Raisel Iglesias, who was really, really good last year after those first 2 weeks. But when you get past, the Sims and Garrett, I think you can make a case that this year's, I think the bottom end is probably better. Now, I don't know if they have the depth. You kind of look at AAA. I'll be honest, I'm a guy who follows the team pretty close. I don't know a lot of these guys at not AAA, at the alternate site. There's a lot of names on there that I'm like, who is that? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, we need Doug Gray on for that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't feel like they have great depth at the alternate site. But hopefully that's, I know the Reds picked up a guy off of the waiver wire today. I would imagine they'll keep doing that throughout the year. And hopefully they can pick up some guys just to give them enough innings, and hopefully they can, find enough guys to throw strikes. But yeah, I'm glad that Jordan mentioned Carson Fulmer. I think he's got some talent. He's looked pretty sharp this year. He's come in and thrown strikes, which has been huge for this team. So yeah, hopefully, day off tomorrow, everyone will be fresh going to the Cleveland series, and hopefully they can have a good series.
Yeah, I feel good about this week, honestly. I don't think that Arizona kind of had a lot of breaks go their way in that series. They definitely earned the right to win those games, but man, like that one hitter was crazy. So I think they'll be okay there. And the Indian series, I was kind of hoping that we would get. I saw originally because I have Shane Bieber in fantasy baseball, and they were saying he was going to pitch Saturday, and I was like, oh man, Gray versus Bieber Saturday would be cool. And it was like, I guess he's pitching Sunday now, so I was like, oh well, that's fine too, I guess. But yeah, man, I think that it's going to be a fun week of games before we get back here next week. My last question for you, I always got to end the show on a fun one. Are you picking up MLB The Show this week on pre-order? Or are you waiting until Tuesday?
I don't know. It's always like a game of chicken. So I expect everyone now to get me a gift, but my birthday's May 4th. So like they always ask me, what do you want for birthday? And I'm like, MLB The Show. So someone like always like gets it, but I'm like, or usually someone gets it. So I'm like, it's kind of like a game of chicken. Like, is someone going to get it for me on May 4th? But I don't really want to, like, I can wait 2 weeks if someone's going to get it. But if they don't, I don't really want to wait. I'm just going to get it now. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I'm going to have to kind of put my feelers out and see if I think someone's going to get it for me or not. I'm sure you're getting it, Tim.
Oh yeah, I've already got it. So I pre-ordered it. So it'll download at midnight on Friday.
Oh, and you got it on the PS5, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I was one of the lucky people who got a PS5 at launch, and all my friends hated me.
I got a new Mac instead of a PS5, so I am well past my family spending limit for the year. So maybe next year tax time. So I'll have to play the show on the poor man's PS4.
Well,
I feel sorry for me, everyone.
It's they're doing the network's gonna be cross compatible, so we could like play against each other on the 4 and 5.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You'll be able to
Yeah.
see the pitches better than me. Kind of unfair, but
Yeah, that's like I used to always play like online, and people would play with like the Mets because R.A. Dickey and the knuckleball in that game was insane. I was like,
oh,
this isn't fun. I don't want to play.
no.
Yeah, I was like, I don't
Yeah,
want to play anymore.
I've broken controllers at one of my old pals. Always threw a knuckleball or the worst 12-6 curveball. One of my buddies, if he's listening, he'll know who he is. He always pitched Levon Hernandez against me, and he had the nastiest 12-6 curveball. And I knew it was coming every single time, and I could not hit it. Like, I couldn't. Didn't matter if he threw it right in the middle of the plate. Every time I missed it. So, yeah, I feel you there.
I would always get Dontrelle Willis when he was good because of his windup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of miss Dontrelle. That year he was in Cincinnati was fun.
Yeah, the dude that the Giants threw out there, I'm Rogers, Taylor Rogers.
Oh my God, yeah.
I do not want to face him in the show. That would be a miserable. I would never be able to get a hit off of him. I would probably just set the controller down and be like, I hope he walks me.
Yeah, he'll be a guy I pick up in Diamond Dynasty and I throw in an online game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. This was, as always, a lot of fun. We had a really awesome guest, so that was neat.
Oh! The Pirates won. They have won 2 games against the Padres. So there you go. Your Pittsburgh Pirates. They have won series against the Padres, the Padres and the Cubs. They just turned a double play to end the game. So there you go. That red sweep, it keeps aging well.
It does. Yes. It's like Ken Pom for baseball.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thanks again as always. Thank you so much for joining us up for this barbecue. For those who don't follow them, you should if you love baseball because they're the best. They're awesome. So everyone have a good night. We'll talk soon, and we'll be back next week.